Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is Montana This Morning from Montana's news leader.
Good morning. Thanks for waking up with us here on Montana This Morning. I'm Augusta McDonald.
And I'm Louis Storch. Hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday. Man, Augusta, it was cold again yesterday.
It was very cold, but we did get a little bit of snow, so that was a nice break in our gray, dry kind of landscape.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, like yesterday afternoon, we just like went downtown and like walked along the river. I just had to get out and do something. And
totally.
It was pretty.
Just like a mental break from this kind of oppressive inversion we have sitting over the valley.
Exactly. Now what we're actually seeing today though is this inversion is going to break a little bit. Some light snow is going to move in today, but then we're going to bring that inversion right back for tomorrow, but we're still tracking the end of it to move in by Friday. So here's your forecast headlines. Weak disturbance. This kind of really began to kick off yesterday late afternoon and evening, and it's actually kind of riding that ridge, riding the jet stream right down from Canada. It's going to move over top of us, and that's going to bring some light snow starting this morning into the early afternoon time. Now, high pressure is going to build right back in for tonight, and inversions and fog return for tomorrow. And then another system is going to kick off, it looks like, this weekend, creating an active weather pattern starting late in the day on Friday. Here's your Wednesday forecast. 29 in Missoula, 26 Kalispell, 29 Hamilton, 32 in Polson.
Alrighty, thank you, Louis. As debate over the future of Obamacare continues to simmer, one of its biggest and most expensive elements is alive and well in Montana: Medicaid expansion. The expansion is providing government-funded health coverage to tens of thousands of low-income Montanans and bringing hundreds of millions of federal dollars into the state. In the three-part series starting yesterday, MTN's Mike Dennison takes a closer look at who's benefiting from the program and its prospects for the future.
Ian Ballard left his job in Kansas City 2 years ago to come home to Kalispell to take care of some family business. He also had shooting pains through his legs and back, and at times could barely walk, let alone work, as he had been in the restaurant business. But then Ballard was able to get covered by Montana's expanded Medicaid and find out he had necrosis, which had severely degenerated both of his hip joints. Within months, he was able to get both hips replaced.
I didn't know that I had both hips gone and that I could lose the ability to walk. I would have had no idea had it not been for getting the coverage and then being able to get looked at and get worked on and everything that's come from it.
Ballard is one of 86,000 Montanans newly covered under Medicaid, authorized by the Montana legislature in 2015 and funded primarily by the federal government under the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. The expansion covers adults earning up to 138% of the federal poverty level, or about $16,600 a year for a single person, although 3/4 of the Montanans signed up so far earn less than half that amount. About $2 billion will be spent on health services covered by Medicaid expansion in Montana in its first 40 months, with most of the money coming from the federal government.
But it's been a great benefit to the entire state of Montana. Medicaid expansion has brought in $800 million of health care services in 18 months. That's almost $1 billion in treating the health of Montanans.
Nearly half that money is going to hospitals and clinics, but it's also paying for mental health and substance abuse treatment, dental care, prescription drugs, and doctor visits. President Trump and Republicans in Congress have sought to repeal the expansion and instead give a lesser pot of money to the states for Medicaid and let them decide what to do with it. Some GOP state lawmakers in Montana also worry whether the state can afford to keep up its share of the current Medicaid expansion.
There's no doubt about it. It has helped many individuals across the state, but it really comes down to the revenues we have available. So if we're going to fund this to the extent we need to, what other programs are we going to have to cut back in the state?
Yet for patients seeing the benefit, the expansion has been more than worth it.
I paid insurance for better part of 2 decades and barely used any of it. I never expected anything back from it. So now I just find myself in a situation where it does pay me back. It's going to get me back up on my feet and able to get back into the workforce and then give back.
Reporting from Kalispell, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
In part 2 of our series on Medicaid expansion later today, we look at how it's boosting care for Native Americans and others all across the state. On the Flathead this morning, with just 3 days remaining to enroll in a health care plan under the Affordable Care Act, state leaders are urging that folks should not wait until the deadline to make their decisions. The health care enrollment period closes on Friday. After that, you can only enroll or change plans if you qualify for a special enrollment period. Some 18,000 Montanans have signed up for Affordable Care Act policies as of December 2nd. The Trump administration shortened the enrollment period from 90 to 45 days, but State Auditor Matt Rosendale, Montana's Insurance and Securities Commissioner, says it doesn't appear the shorter window will affect the number of people who sign up.
The insurers, again, have told me that everything is going smooth. The numbers are coming in where they anticipated them to be.
If you decide to opt out of health insurance, keep in mind you could face a tax penalty fee. For more information on how to sign up, you can visit our websites. The Flathead Office of Emergency Services has already seen an uptick in house fires, in part due to Christmas decorations. Flathead County Fire Manager Lincoln Shute says there's been an increase in the number of home fires this month, with 3 last week alone in the Flathead Valley. He says holiday decorations like Christmas trees, candles, along with cooking all contribute to making December one of the leading months for house fires. To help everyone enjoy a fire-safe holiday season, Shute says people should be aware potential fire risk during the holidays, along with steps to minimize them.
It is that time of year where we have Christmas trees in houses, a lot of candles. Just really be conscientious about watering the tree, keeping it as moist as possible. Don't overload the outlets. Be conscientious where those candles are.
Shute says a dry Christmas tree can ignite a home in seconds. According to the National Fire Protection Association, 1 out of every 32 reported home Christmas tree fires results in a death. Top stories this morning. Newly revealed text messages are raising questions about the political bias of 2 key FBI employees who worked on both the Mueller-Russia probe and last year's Clinton email investigation. Brooke Silva Braga has the details.
For more than a year leading up to the election, FBI agent Peter Strzok and lawyer Lisa Page disparaged Donald Trump in text messages obtained by CBS News. In a text from 2015, Strzok calls Bernie Sanders an idiot like Trump. In March of 2016, Page texted, "God, Trump is a loathsome human," and "This man cannot be president." On Election Day, Strzok texted, "OMG, this is expletive terrifying." During the campaign, Strzok led the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server.
They were extremely careless.
And personally changed then FBI Director James Comey's descriptions of her actions from grossly negligent, which could carry criminal penalties, to the softer extremely careless. Later, he worked on Robert Mueller's team investigating possible Trump campaign ties to Russia, but was dismissed when these text messages were first revealed. Page also worked on the Mueller team. The texts are now the subject of a Justice Department ethics investigation and were sent to lawmakers last night. Brooke Silva Braga, CBS News, New York.
Today, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein will testify before Congress, where Republicans are likely to renew calls to investigate how the Clinton email probe was handled. In other headlines this morning, Democrat Doug Jones has pulled off a victory over Republican Roy Moore in one of the most watched special elections in U.S. history. By a razor-thin margin, Jones becomes the first Alabama Democratic senator in 2 decades. His victory deals President Trump and the GOP a blow, but Republicans still control the Senate. Their majority now shrinks, though, to 51 to 49. And Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton is expected to name a replacement for Al Franken today after the 2-term senator resigned last week amid sexual misconduct allegations. Dayton is being pressured to keep the seat in Democratic hands and appoint someone who has a good shot at winning a special election for the seat next November. Western Montana valley inversions have made for gray skies and cold temperatures for days on end. The high pressure that has settled over the northern Rockies like a damp blanket over the last several days has forced cold, heavy, and stagnant air to just permeate the valley floors. Meteorologist Louis Dorch has more on when we can expect a break in these conditions. Louis.
All right, thank you, Augusta. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, like we've talked about, it looks like the break's going to come this weekend. Actually going to get a little bit of a break today, as a weak system is going to give us a chance some light snow. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, Shiloh sent us in this great photo from Missoula yesterday. We tried to get out because it was just so beautiful. It was cold, but you had that fog hanging onto the trees there, made for a very winter-like scene. Love this picture here, Shiloh. Thank you so much for sending them in. We have a lot of other good ones to get to, and we'll continue to do that throughout the morning. Quick look at your temperatures. We're seeing 20s and 30s here in the valleys here along the Montana-Idaho border, 31 Phillipsburg. We have 8 in Seeley Lake. But overall, we're not seeing as foggy conditions, as these inversions are going to break slightly today, as this system right here is going to bring us in the chance of snow. So it's continuing to slide east. We have some light snow in the forecast. Moving in a little bit closer, what we're going to see today is possibly 1 as much as 3 inches possible here in southwestern, and then moving off of here towards more south central Montana. And this is where we're going to see some light snow. It is already beginning to push in right now, and we have some light snow falling upwards around Kalispell. Some light snow looks like falling around Polson now, along with Trout Creek and Superior. Again, not a lot of snow expected, but some light accumulations can be expected as we move throughout the late morning and pushing into the afternoon. Let's go ahead and talk about what we can expect as far as your weather goes. To do this, we'll use the jet stream forecast. There's that big ridge of high pressure finally begins to break down late Friday night and into Saturday. So let's talk about a couple things here first. This pattern here is going to bring us in some light opportunities. It's not a big dip in the jet stream, so we're just going to see some light snow showers possibly late Friday, early Saturday. Looks like right now, early indications, the mountain passes higher elevations, 2 to 4 inches by the time it's all said and done. Now we have another chance, it looks like, as we roll into next week, but one thing I want to point out is notice how a little bit of a ridge forms on Sunday. So we're going to see a dry weather pattern on Sunday, but then as it begins to move back down, some more light snow possible on Tuesday. So basically, we're not expecting any major systems, but what we are going to do is slowly work out these inversions that we have been seeing. 7-day forecast, we can see that. So 29 today with some light snow. Inversions return tomorrow. Light snow returns for the weekend and then pushing into next week. Same thing for Kalispell. So some light snow during the morning. Inversions and fog again tomorrow. Then some more light systems start on Friday. And then Hamilton, we'll see 29 today, 22 on Thursday, and then temperatures are going to be in the 30s with just some very light showers possible Friday, Saturday, and pushing into the beginning part of next week.
Alrighty, thank you, Lewis. Montana This Morning continues after this break, but first let's take a look at your birthday shout-outs.